we go. An important part of streaming, having the microphone on. Hello, welcome to the Saturday afternoon stream. Happy to be here. We did a stream last night too, all about accessibility and the Web Aim at Million project. Today, excuse me, we are continuing with the Frontend Mentor product list with cart. And we have a lot to do. I would say there's still a fair amount of HTML and CSS, to write. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm coming down with a virus. I don't know if I have allergies. I think I have allergies. So I'm going to be blowing my nose for the next 90 minutes. Speaking of which, I did set a timer. I'm going to give myself a hard stop after an hour and a half because I am a little bit under the weather. So we have most of the HTML and CSS written here. We need to start working on some JavaScript, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous because this is the thing that I struggle with the most. We're going to rely heavily on ChatGPT because ChatGPT has been a better teacher for me for JavaScript wise than any person has been. And I've been experimenting with this new ChatGPT 4.0 with Canvas, which basically has this editable canvas in how they are revising code. So it's really ideal for code, for any sort of creative writing, anything like that you're doing. I've used it a couple of times. I really like it. It's a more streamlined experience if you need help with coding. So let's get started. Yeah, well, the first thing we need to do tonight is we need to get some dynamic content in here. That's not what I wanted. Let's say JS, and we'll say main.js. And I'm just going to put everything in a document. Add event listener, DOM content loaded. And then I suppose we'll write all our functions up here. Yeah, that makes sense. And then let's get this into our index. Do I want to do this in the footer? I always do this in the footer. Is it better to do it in the header or the footer? I'm going to put this in the header. Isn't that better for performance to put things like that in the header? Yes, main. And then let's just do something simple. It's not in the mock-up, but that's okay. Put in a paragraph. Oh my gosh. Monique, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. Oh, good grief. It's going to be one of those days. So let me back up. I did a document add event listener, DOM content loaded. I created a main.js. Thank you. Good. Would you be surprised to learn that that's not the first time I've done that? It's not. The only difference is I used to do it at the beginning of streaming, which was about 3 months ago when nobody was watching and there was nobody here to tell me. So this is obviously a much better situation. I went ahead and loaded the main.js in the head. I usually put it in the footer. I'm going to start putting it in the head because I do think that it's better for performance, and the event listener says to load it after the content is loaded. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do this. I think that that's a better approach, to put it in the head. Yeah. What was I doing? Oh yes, I was just going to do something simple here to write just to start, get the JavaScript juices flowing, so to speak. It's not in the mockup, but that's okay. Let's just put in a copyright date. And we'll say const. We'll say date equals document get element by ID. We'll say const year equals new date. Isn't it just get full year? I think so. And then we'll say if date date dot inner HTML equals year. What don't you like? Oh, hang on. There we go. Oh, good grief. We're off to a great start. You know what though? This is why I'm doing this. Notice that I had a comma between. Gotcha. So I missed a comma. Right there. Okay. Okay, and there's our copyright date. And we'll just add a quick line of CSS. All right, and now we officially have our JavaScript juices flowing. Okay, so let's get this dynamic JSON file in here, which is right here. And guessing that we're going to need to do a promise. Let's see here. Help me write a JavaScript function promise so I can import dynamic JSON data from a local file. Async await. Do I access the data and use it as inner HTML? Okay. So we'll hang on to this. We can get rid of these. And then I'm going to take this. I'm going to take the entire article and I'm just going to copy it over here down at the bottom, just so I have it. Oh, stop. And then I think we're going to need to add another div. I kind of want to use the grid wrap, so I'm going to pull desserts out of this. We might have to rewrite a couple of styles for that header, but that's fine because I want to use this grid wrap. I don't want to add any additional markup. So we'll go ahead and put in, well, we can use a class. We don't have to have an ID. Is it better to have an ID? No, we can use a class. All right. All right, so what does it say here? This line loads the JSON asynchronously, then data. Okay, once the data is loaded, it is passed to the callback function where you can access the data properties. Document get element by ID title. This line sets the inner HTML. Got it. Okay, so once we're in the data part, boom. All right, this is exciting. So I'm not going to copy and paste it. I'm actually going to type it because that is just how I learn. So I hope that's not too frustrating. File path is JSON data.json. JSON data.json. Oh, I think I need to put that in single quotes. Oh, duh, that's the callback function. Got it. Totally agree, Monique, totally agree, because here's the thing. I've been I actually write a lot of JavaScript in my day job. But I copy and paste, I do a lot of Googling, and yeah, I'm just trying to get stronger at remembering things, even though I just recorded a video saying it's okay, you don't have to remember everything. Yeah, I'm just trying to get better at remembering some things, just like I said in the video, right? Practice and repetition, that's how you get better. So we'll do try const response equals await fetch file path. All right. And then we're going to check if the response is okay. If response okay, throw. If the response is not okay, throw new error. Network response. Oh, hello. How are you? Nano Akia. I hope I am saying that correctly. You haven't really seemed to correct me, so you were on my entire stream last night. I really appreciate that because I was really looking forward to that accessibility conversation. So thank you again for showing up last night. I had fun. I enjoyed that. So network response was not okay. So we are working on this Frontend Mentor project, and we've gotten to the JavaScript part, which of course is the part that I have the most trouble with. So I'm nervous as all get out, but I'm just jumping in. We're just doing it. And I am opting to type everything out today because I just really want to drive home what I'm doing here. It's all about the learning. The backtick. All right, so here is our asynchronous function to load the JSON. We're doing a try catch. The try is the response, which is a fetch. We're checking that if the response is not okay, we throw a new error. Otherwise, the data is await response.json, return data. I'm there, I got it. And then the catch is to throw an error loading JSON. What's the error message? Got it. I understand it. Okay. So now we're going to, I think we actually want to do this in the event listener. So we're going to load JSON, and we're getting, what is this here? JSON slash data.json, JSON slash data.json. Then data, and it's actually, here's where we can do, all right, first I'm going to do the catch, and then we'll come back up and get this. And this will be console error. All right. So now let's define our stuff here. This makes me think. Oh, and you know, the other thing that we need to do is we actually need to for each through the data. Yeah, so the data, okay, we can do that. So it's data dot for each. Okay, don't do it for me. For each, and we'll just say item. And then let's, do I want to stick this whole thing in there? I kind of have to, don't I? You could also add defer before or after source. Okay. Oh, up here. Got it. Thank you. So, we need to, I'm trying to think of the best approach for this. I mean, I think we need to stick this whole thing in there and for each through, which I think is fine. I'm going to ask ChatGPT the best approach. Yep. That's what I pay him for, right? Okay. So first, let's thank ChatGPT. So he remembers that I was polite when the machines take over. This is interesting. The canvas is not working today. So maybe ChatGPT just doesn't think that like what I'm doing is canvas appropriate, but this is the first time I've used this option and it hasn't like shifted all of the conversation to the left and then done a canvas. So I guess it's neither here nor there, but okay, the following JavaScript code will loop through each article element. Yep, so I put it inside the event listener. Woohoo. So we're going to define the grid item. If the article element's length is not the product data length, console warn number of articles does not match the number of products. Oh, that's an interesting approach. No, I'm not going to leave all markup on the page. I want to loop through the data and add it to the page. Here's a sample of my data. Please compare this to the markup I just gave you. Got it. You want to dynamically create the markup for each item in your data and add it to the page using JavaScript. This is a very common approach. Okay. Okay, so here's our perfect. Okay, I guess this is what I was thinking. Here's our container. Here's our for each. We've already got the function for our data. Beautiful. Okay. So our container is called grid wrap. Product data for each, okay. Const article equals document create element, okay. Okay, so it's having me create the article and then add it. All right, that's fine. Article class list add grid item and then article inner HTML equals. All right. This is exciting. I feel like I actually know what's going on. We'll minify this when we're done. Oh yeah, this makes sense. And then we don't have to define a bunch of stuff. We can just put it in there with the string interpolation. Got it. Okay, so here's our data. So I'm doing image desktop. We'll start with that. Oh, yes. What did I do? Item. And then our alt text is, what were we doing for alt text? I guess the name, so the item name. And then here's our button. Here's our add to cart. Here's our labels. And then here's our title. item name rather. Oh no, that's the category. Category. And then our price. All right, and then what do we do next? And then container append. Oh, I think I called it something different. Grid wrap. Well, what do we think? No. Let's see. Oh, good. Thank you. So grid. Oh, did I spell something wrong? There's grid wrap. So grid wrap is this div right here where I want the JavaScript to put all of the HTML, all of the data. That's the grid wrap. So I defined grid wrap. Oh, yeah, I spelled it wrong. Thank you. Where are we here? Hang on. And it worked. Look at that. Never gets old. It never gets old when the things I do work. I love it. I love it so much. This is my singular goal for 2025, to get better at JavaScript, to just get better at some of these things. Yeah, God, I love it. Let's just make sure that we don't have any errors in the console. I don't think we do, but let's just keep an eye on that because you never know. Nope, we're good. All right. No, hang on here. Monique, you're not missing anything. As far as I'm concerned, you appear to be my eyes and ears today. So, thank you. All right. Whew. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our buttons are working correctly. And I already see, let's get back over here. So let's go back. I think we have, where is our button? Here's the cart button. Here's the, we have to take this active class off. So we need to do an event listener. So when you click on, hang on here. Oh, now it's gone all together. Hang on. Where is my button? So this one needs, yes, this one needs an active class. So this is active by default. There it is. And then when you click it, you add the item to the cart, and then it changes the button to the second button that's beneath this one. So that's really the next thing that we need to do. So here's our secondary cart item. So really, I think we do the exact same thing. We do an event listener to listen for a click. Okay, I'm going to take my own advice and write some pseudocode. So let's get this up here. This is the advice that I gave everybody else in my last video. I'm going to take my own advice. Okay, so let's just collapse this so we have a little space. And when I click on the Add to Cart button, I want to add an active class to the second button and remove the active class from the first button. So let's start with that. Let's write the next. Then when I click the Add to Cart button, I want to add the item data to the cart/sidebar. So I'm going to do this first. So I'm going to say, so do I have to do this inside? Do I have to do everything inside of this? Or are these two separate things? Okay, let's tell ChatGPT that this all worked beautifully. Everything is working perfectly. Next, I'm going to add an event listener to add and remove a class on data that is dynamically added to my page. Do I write that event listener in a separate function or as part of the load, what is it called? Load JSON function. Okay, so write an event listener as part of the load JSON. If the logic for adding and removing classes is closely tied to the data itself, such as needing specific data properties when the user interacts with an element, it can make sense to include this event listener setup in the load JSON function. This keeps everything related to setting up the data and its interactions in one place, which can help keep your code easier to follow. 2, create a separate function for adding event listeners. Writing the event listener logic is a separate function. As a separate function can make the code modular and easier to maintain. If you have several types of interactions or a lot of dynamically added content, separating concerns can make the code cleaner. This is especially true if the event listener involves more complicated logic. So I feel like I could do this differently, but this load it down my suggestion. If the interactions are simple, like toggling a class or showing and hiding, you could include them directly in the load JSON function. However, if you think you may need to add more complex logic, or if you want to add event listeners to many different types of elements, separating the event listener logic into its own function can save you time. So I think it probably doesn't matter. I can put it in a separate spot and then just load it. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So I'm just going to put it right here, and then I'll just call it inside the DOM content loaded. Yeah. So I'm going to say function toggle button. And well, it doesn't matter where okay, so we'll do, so we'll say, so this is the cart button, and this is the cart plus minus. Const cart button equals and then I'm going to say cart button, add event listener, click. Oh, and I think it has to be, since there are multiple, we have to do a target. Pretty sure I'm right. I actually think that we probably have to loop through these. Yeah. Well, do we? Yeah, we do. So it's actually query selector all. And I think we need to I don't know if I'm doing this right. It feels right though. For each, I think, do we have to for each twice? Let's just keep going and seeing what happens. We'll see what happens. If the event target, class list contains if the event target contains active, contains is a Boolean, so it's either true or false. So if it contains active, then button class list remove active. So if it contains active, remove active. Yeah, I think we have to do a second loop because I need to be able to access this cart plus minus. Cart plus minus for each, I'll say plus minus and then we'll say I'm sure ChatGPT is going to have an opinion on this. All right, I see what's going on in your code. The issue here is that you are using nested loops, and for each button click, you are iterating through all elements in cart plus minus. This approach can cause unintended behavior since you're iterating over every plus minus element for each cart button. Okay, this means that every click will potentially add or remove classes from all buttons. Okay. So instead, just iterate over the first button, which is the cart items. Okay, so I didn't need the second loop, basically. Got it. So for each button, and I'm guessing well, we're not really using this. So we don't have to check and see, okay. Solution, move toggle button after content is loaded. Update your DOM content loaded event like this. Where did I put it? Oh, I needed to move it up. Got it. Okay, now we're just have to make sure that we're clearly not adding the other class. Do I have the correct cart plus minus? Let's see what's happening in the console. Shouldn't this be query selector all in order to... No, that's up here. Oh, okay, so for each item query selector, cart plus minus, cart button, add event listener, click. Yeah, it's just not adding. Okay, so it sounds like the cart plus minus element is not being properly identified or updated during the event handling. This can often happen if the reference to cart plus minus is not correctly established in relation to the clicked button. Let's tweak the code to ensure that the cart plus minus is reliably accessed based on the clicked button's parent grid item. See, I had a feeling that we had to use this event target. So, if the event target contains cart button, then the cart button is the event target. Traverse up to the parent grid item. Cart button closest grid item. Find the cart plus minus within this grid item. If grid item okay. The cart plus minus is immediately after the cart button. Okay, got it. So if the target contains cart button, then the cart button is the event target. Cart plus minus is the cart button next element sibling. If cart plus minus and cart plus minus class list contains cart plus minus, okay. Why do we even need to like check for a sibling? Is that because the data is dynamic? That's confusing to me. I'm gonna go with it, and there we go. Interesting. I just need to make sure. I think I need to make sure that these SVGs are pointer event none. Yeah. But yep, okay, this is working now. Good. I think that's what I need to do. Yes. Okay. Here's the cart button. Cart button active. Beautiful. Okay. And let's see how this works tabbing. Look at that. Oh. Okay, so I don't exactly understand why we need to use the next sibling. I think it has something to do with the fact that everything is dynamic. So I'm just going to go with it. And you know, maybe I'll revise this over time, right? As I develop a better understanding of my vanilla JavaScript skills, it'll get better. Okay, so what's the next thing we need to do here? Going to, so I don't need this anymore. I'm going to take this and put it up here. Well, the next thing we need to do is when I click the add to cart button, I want to add the item data to the cart sidebar. So I'm wondering if I need to put that. Okay, this is all working. Thank you. Next, when I click add to cart, I need to populate a sidebar / cart with new data / markup. Is that a separate load JSON function or a new one? Okay. For adding data to the sidebar cart when clicking add to cart, you have a couple of options. And which one is best depends on how you want to organize and reuse your code. Here's a breakdown of your options. Option 1, extend the existing load.json function. If the sidebar cart needs to use the same product data, images, names, prices as the items displayed on the main page, you can extend your current load.json function to load the JSON, generate the main page content, set up event listeners that also populate the sidebar cart. You'd handle the event listener that listens to the add to cart button click, fetch the corresponding product's data from the JSON, and then create new markup for the sidebar cart. Okay. Option 2, create a new function for adding items to the cart. A cleaner and more modular approach would be to create a new function specifically for handling adding items to the cart. This function could accept product data like the name, image, and price as parameters, create the new cart item markup, append the markup to the sidebar cart container. This way, the load.json function is focused only on loading data and generating the main product list. And a new function takes care of cart-specific logic. So I'm liking the sound of option 2 the best. Suggested approach, modular, using a separate function. Creating a separate function to handle adding items to the cart is usually a good idea, especially if you need to maintain and extend the functionality in the future. Here's how you could do it. Update the existing toggle button to also call a new function that handles adding items to the cart. Write a separate function called add to cart. So here's our toggle button. And then here's our add to cart button. So get data from the grid item. Create the new cart item markup, which I already have, so it would be a little different than this. And then append the cart sidebar. Okay, optional, add event listener for removing item from cart, which we do want to do that. We have a button for that. Okay, so toggle button, which is totally separate. When an item is added to the cart, cart button class list add active, the add to cart function is called with the corresponding grid item as the parameter. Did I miss that? Oh yeah, right here. Add item to the cart, const grid item, cart button closest grid item. Add to cart grid item. So the add to cart function, first it extracts data, get the item name, price, and image source from the grid item passed as an argument, create the markup, creates a new div to represent the cart item, and populates it with the extracted data, append a sidebar, appends this newly created cart item to the cart sidebar element, remove from cart, adds an event listener for the remove button to handle removing an item from the cart when clicked, Advantages of this approach: modularity, reusability, extensibility. Okay. Considerations: event delegation for remove buttons. You can use event delegation for better performance, especially if the cart grows or shrinks frequently. Persistence: if you want to persist the cart, even after a page reload, consider saving the cart data in local storage. Yes, we're going to do that. Give this a try, and it should give you a good starting point. So, yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and write this add to cart function. I'm going to we'll grab our markup. So here's a cart item. Here's a cart item. Here's a cart item. I'll take these out. And I'm going to put these go ahead and put it right here. And then cart container. And I think we also have an event listener here. Yes, here's the empty cart, which I think I had with an active. Yes. So we'll need an event listener for this active. Well, honestly, we should just use like a sibling class and skip adding active. I think that's let's see here. Are these siblings? Yes, they are. So we should just use a sibling. So if there's nothing in the cart, then full cart doesn't even exist. So it would be full cart plus empty cart. Yeah, let's skip these active classes. So so if let's put empty second. So if full cart exists, it's display block. Full cart, empty cart is by default display none. But if we have if full cart exists, then it's full cart plus empty cart display none. Otherwise, this is display block. Full cart plus empty cart. Then empty cart is display none. And we display none because then it is not read out loud to a screen reader. Nothing in empty cart is read out loud to a screen reader. So full cart is block, empty cart is block. If full cart exists plus sibling selector empty cart, display none the empty cart. So that means that our container for everything for the cart isn't just those items, it's It's all of this. Because we have to do all of this math anyways. Like the order total and the items in the cart. Yeah, we should move this to in. So we're going to write a little extra CSS to change that. So this should go inside full cart. And then everything here can be dynamic. Stop. Yeah. Oh, but we still need to, oh. But there still needs to be, no, we could use side wrap and then we could just prepend instead of append. So here's empty cart. Yes. And then here's full cart. Yeah, that works. Okay. So this is actually going to be, well, it's going to be messy for a minute. So here's full cart, and then let's get our article back into the right spot. Our article goes here. Okay, well, let's just work on if we click add to cart, we get the correct data moved over to the cart. We'll go from there. So when I click the add to cart button, I want to add the item data to the cart sidebar. How are we doing on time? We got about 20 minutes left. Add to cart. Grid item. So const item name equals grid item. Query selector. Tertiary, hang on. I creating a div? My cart item is, I think I'm creating an article. Okay, and then our cart item. But I need to do more. I need to do more than just... That's okay, because I can append to the cart sidebar. I can I just have more markup than this. So I think I just have to... Okay, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. We'll figure it out. Inner HTML. So I'm just getting this for now. Actually, I mean, why do I have to do this if I already have the markup? I don't understand. Why do I have to... I'm just going to ask. Why do I have to create an element if I already know what it is? Can't I just use the elements without creating new ones? I don't know how else to ask that question. No, this is what I mean. Instead, I want to just do this. You want to directly use existing HTML in your cart to populate dynamic values without creating new DOM elements each time, essentially replacing the placeholder data within the existing structure. In this case, you can select the existing cart elements and replace their content with the data from the clicked item. This is totally doable and a good approach if you prefer a more direct update of pre-existing DOM items. No. Well, maybe. Okay. No, that's not what I meant. Okay. I'm just gonna do my own thing here for a second and see if I can figure this out. I just don't understand why it's telling me that I have to create why do I have to create these two things? Why can't I just, well, I guess I have to define the cart item, don't I? Okay, I just answered my own question. So item name. Item price. And the image source. Where is the image? I don't think there is an image. No, there is no image. Okay. So we don't have to worry about that. Okay, now I understand. I have to create the article in order to put the inner HTML into the article. Got it. Just did not quite understand that for a second. Okay. Got it. So now, let's go back up here. So now we have to add that item to the cart. And we just need to get our extra markup in there. But let's make sure we can do this first. We're so close. Back up here. So here's our else statement. So this does go inside the else. And then this includes the button. Okay, so it's not going to look right, but we should still be able to add it. No. Oh, I probably don't have the correct markup. So the grid, yeah, I don't think I have the correct. So the grid item, cart button, closest grid item. Okay. So we actually have to append it to something, though. Oh, yes. Missed a whole entire part here. Okay. So now we're going to append the cart to the sidebar. Optional, add event listener for removing item from the cart. Yes. actually going to append this to, I'm going to prepend to the side wrap for now. Can we prepend instead? Prepend. Oh, but then it's always going to be first. Maybe then empty cart should be first. But I kind of need empty cart to be, I need empty cart to be last so I can use a sibling selector to hide it when the full cart exists. You know what? It's okay. We can shift those things around. Let's just get this thing actually adding to the cart, and then we can make those adjustments. We'll make those adjustments later. So we'll do append child. Append child. Cart item. Let's see if this works. So if this works, it should add to cart after this. No. I'm sure we just have something. Side wrap. So here's the side wrap. Cart sidebar, side wrap, cart sidebar, append child, cart item. I'm sure I just have something. I skipped a step here or something. So this is optional. I'm not worrying about this now. Add to cart, grid item, cart button closest, grid item. Add item to the cart. Closest grid item. So the cart button here's the button container. Here's the cart button. It's looking for the closest So it's looking for the closest grid item, which is the container that it's in. And it's getting those values. this out. Okay, thank you for sharing the code. I see the specific goal. When you click Add to Cart, you want to add an active class while removing and append a new cart item to the sidebar. Okay, my class toggle is fine. Key changes. Okay, I'm not changing anything with the cart button for now. Make sure you also take care of the dynamic cart elements correctly. It appears the issue might also be related to incorrect class toggling or missing elements within your structure. Here's an updated add to cart function. Get the item details from grid item. Create the new cart item markup. Okay. Append the new cart item to the sidebar. What really changed here? All right. Hmm. I mean, there aren't any errors in the console, which means that, like, I spelled something wrong or I defined something wrong. So that's usually what that means. So we know that our add and remove active class is working. The grid item is the closest grid item. cart sidebar is the side wrap. If there's a cart sidebar, append the child cart item. So there's something wrong with the order of events happening here. Oh, did I not update? Hang on. There's add to cart. There's toggle button. Used so the grid item is the cart button with the closest grid item class. Add to cart grid item. But this is not even, this isn't even console logging if there's a sidebar. That's, yeah, I feel like I'm trying to select something that doesn't exist yet, but wouldn't we get a console, like a console error for that? Wrap the whole logic in a DOM content loaded listener or ensure your script runs after the HTML. Here's an improved version. This is what I hate about ChatGPT is every time something doesn't work or I ask it to fix something, it revises everything. It's like, oh, actually, this doesn't work and it should be better anyways. And it's the code that it gave me to begin with. This is incredibly frustrating. The thing that I really don't like about ChatGPT. So, also, I wish it was using the new Canvas feature. I don't know why it's not. Yeah, ChatGPT isn't taking over the world anytime soon. Okay. Code review, yes. Okay. Right. All right. Consider adding a timeout to the fetch request to prevent it from hanging indefinitely in case of a slow or unresponsive network. Using closest here is good for targeting the correct button. Ensure that eTarget includes all potential click elements. SVG, otherwise use a more specific click. Okay, I don't care about that because I made those pointer event none. So I really think that something is out of order, or like it's just not in the correct order because there isn't anything in the console. So okay, so directly setting inner HTML can expose the code to XSS attacks. Consider using text content or DOM methods to create and append the child elements securely. If there are multiple cart items, consider adding a unique identifier to ensure the correct item is removed without affecting similar elements. My code is not working. I can add and remove classes, toggle, but I cannot add items to the cart. All right, it looks like the issue might be related to a couple of areas. Element selection or existence. The cart sidebar may not be correctly selected or might not be in the DOM at the right time. It is. The cart sidebar is, it's here. It's in the DOM. Order of execution. The JavaScript to add an item may be executed before the HTML for the cart sidebar is fully loaded or properly referenced. Check if cart sidebar is available. The cart sidebar element might not be available when the add to cart function. So let's just do a console log in a couple different places to figure out where this sidebar is. So here's our toggle. So the add to cart, let's put a console log here. Console log. Well, we want to actually define log the sidebar is available. So ideally, this console log would appear when we are adding or removing a class. So this should say like true or false. So this should say, it should say true, right? No, so it's not the cart sidebar. But why does that matter if it's in the DOM? Document query selector, side wrap. I'm just going to put it up here. Does anything happen when we toggle? Yes, right away. It's available. Okay, good. I want to know if it's available here. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're drilling down. So if there's a cart button, let's check here. So if the cart button exists, which it does because we just clicked it. Okay. So what is this saying? This is saying if the cart plus minus button and the cart plus minus button contains the cart plus minus class, which it does. So if the cart button why do we have to have both of these conditions? Okay. I think we can just check if it exists. I don't think we need to do, we don't need to do both. So if this button exists, and if the cart button contains active, remove active from the cart button, add active to the cart plus minus button. If this has active, if the class, I think I know what's going on here. I don't need to remove anything. I only need to add the active class. We're not going to remove the active class unless we remove it from the cart. So we don't need to do this else. Yeah, we don't need to do this else. So add active to the button, remove it. Yeah, I think this is the problem. I didn't notice this before. Let's put this back in here. I think this can go. I don't think we need this. No, it would need to be I think it needs to be here. So if the cart button contains active, which it does by default, then remove active and add active to the button beneath it, which is the plus minus, and add these things. Look at that. Look at that. Right here, big brain. I'm feeling quite good about myself right now for solving this problem. Yeah, this makes me feel good. Okay, because I have these moments where I'm like, I need help. I need to use ChatGPT. Like, I can just Google the heck out of it and read Stack Overflow and Stack Exchange and like all the other things that people do. And then I'm like, but am I relying too much on ChatGPT? Except for the fact that it is faster. It is a faster way to problem solve. It does do a better job at explaining. And honestly, it has just as much wrong information as anything that I would find out on Stack Overflow, right? Because how many times have you just gone from one Stack Overflow article to another and tried one bad solution after another, and eventually something works? So there is no difference between doing that and using ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I do think, has the advantage because it is at least explaining things to you, but it's incredibly unorganized. It within a conversation forgets what it's taught after you. If you're in a conversation and you continue to ask questions, it only takes a couple iterations through a question for it to forget what it told you, right? And then it will contradict itself. It will change its mind and tell you, oh, but this approach is wrong. You should do this. And I'm like, well, that was your approach, not mine. So can you just make up your mind about the advice that you're giving me? All this to say, ChatGPT is clearly an amazing tool. It does such a good job at explaining and helping, but we still need our big brain to go through and do some of this problem solving, right? And use our own like logic and pseudocode. So this makes me quite happy. Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. This makes me happy that I got this far. Okay, so we don't need this console log right here. And we did not need that additional else statement because we are going to remove this active class, but not until we remove our item from the cart. So I'm going to call it a day. Oh, and Abdallah is here. Thank you, Abdallah. How are you? I'm doing well. You popped in at the very, very end of our accessibility conversation last night. That was exciting to see you. Because you are across the other side of the planet, so I know I think it was very, very early in the morning for you. So thank you for dropping in. And Monique is congratulating me on my troubleshooting. Yes, I'm going to pat myself on the back for this one. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I think this is just such a great blend of using resources like ChatGPT and then also remembering that we need to like go in and it's like a little story. That's how I look at this. This is like a little story. Like you have to create a narrative. You have to actually talk through what's happening. And I forget sometimes that I need to like slow down and go back and do this. So this is making me feel very, very good right now. So we have quite a bit to do tomorrow. We really need to sort out what's happening in the index.html because I really need full cart and empty cart divs to be separate. Yeah. But or do I? I mean, maybe if I could just prepend instead of append. That's really what I need to do. Maybe if I just prepend. Okay, so we're gonna sort that out tomorrow because I feel like things are getting a little wacky with the adding and the removing classes. And I want to avoid doing some of that. If I could have a sibling selector instead, just check to see if something does or doesn't exist, and then hide or show something based on that alone. that feels like a better approach to me. Yeah. Yeah. And then within all of that, we have all of this extra markup. So, yeah, I mean, so what here needs to be dynamic? I mean, none of this really needs to be dynamic. This needs to be dynamic, which is the number of items in the cart. And then our items actually go into this cart container. And then the total amount is dynamic. But this carbon neutral is not. This is not. And this button is not. So we just have some decisions to make tomorrow about what needs to be dynamic and what can actually live on the page. So I have to think about that. I have to think about that tonight. Wow. This is a lot. This was a lot for my brain. But I'm so glad that I'm doing this. So, Abdallah, cheers to you for suggesting that we work on this. And thank you to everybody who is watching. I hope it's not too frustrating watching me deal with JavaScript. But, you know, how else do you get good at it if you're not practicing, right? And this is my goal for 2025 is to get good and to get way more comfortable at this. So, yeah, I'm definitely very happy with this. So we have a lot more to do tomorrow. I feel pretty good though tomorrow about getting a lot of these issues sorted out, doing some of the math and being able to increment and decrement the quantities. Yeah. And then we'll do this other thing too, which I wanted to do, which was, where is it here? Oh, let's see here. Greetings from Germany. I really enjoyed the live. Elsie, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I get wildly insecure and nervous about exposing myself on the internet. So I appreciate that. And Abdallah is saying thank you. Abdallah, I think you were one of the... I feel like you were one of the very first people to find me and join me on the weekends. So that is so cool. I'm really, really glad that you're here and that you continue to show up. Yeah, I just love all the support. I love everybody that I'm meeting. Okay, where was the thing though that it made a suggestion about... See if we can find it here, because we're definitely going to do it. Where is it? Local storage, persistence. I definitely want to do this because once we get things into the cart, I want to be able to refresh the page and not have cart items disappear. So persistent storage, let's make a note of that. I'll put it right here. Don't forget about persistent storage. Cool. Okay. So yeah, same time, same place tomorrow. We will continue to work on this. We're going to shift a few things around. come up with a good plan, and we'll see how far we get. I don't know. I very foolishly thought that we were going to get all of this done this weekend, and after today, I don't think that's the case. And honestly, why am I in such a hurry? It doesn't matter. We're just practicing. We're having fun. We're learning, right? There's no reason to rush through it. I am for sure learning a ton. I am learning a ton here. Yeah, love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the people who joined me today to watch this wacky JavaScript. I hope to see you again soon, tomorrow or next weekend. I'm here every weekend. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will talk again soon. Bye-bye.